Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I know from last few days I'm not making video. Actually I was a bit busy with some work. Now the work is done, so I'm back. Now I'll try my best to be regular and I'll update so many videos. I was working with so many videos. Now I'm going to upload them. So in today's video I'm going to revise the topics which we have already learned, QBasic topics. Today I'm making video with QBasic. So before that I would start the video. Before I tell you, in this video I'm going to explain you some output questions. Okay, I'll tell you how to run with loop and how to deal with select case questions. If I work with loop and select case both, then what kind of execution and what kind of result you're going to get and how to execute those kind of programs. Okay, so let's get started. So if I write this code, suppose here we have written a equal to 10, the values are respectively, b equal to 5 and c equal to a mod 5. Now here it is written a mod 5, so you know some people, they are very much confused about modulus operator and slash. See, always remember, modulus operator gives us remainder and slash operator gives us quotient, and yes, slash will give you quotient in integer number. It will not give you answer in decimal. Now most of the people, they get confused. So many people messaged me that so we get answer in decimal or we get answer in integer. So slash operator always gives you answer in integer only. Okay, so here also, if suppose the value of 10 is a is 10 b is 5 here, so directly I have written a mod 5, so it will divide a, that is 10 by 5 is equal to how much? It is 2, that question, but the remainder will be 0. Okay, so the value of c would be 0. Now here we have written a for loop that you can see I equal to c, so the value of I will start from 0. So let us write the execution over here. So it's I, I've written the value of I would write now a, then b, then c. Okay, now the value of I would be 0 because we have initialized c here. The value of a is given 10 by default, b is 5, c is 0. Now as we entered inside the loop, it would print a. Okay, now here you have to notice that I have not given any semicolon. It means without semicolon, if we print a, it would print the value line wise. So if I print here, suppose I'm printing here 10. Okay, now I equal to I plus 1, the value of I is increasing itself. So if I increase the value of I, then it will be 1 here. Then next I. As you remember, what was the work of next I? The next keyword sends the control back to for, and by default it increases the value of I by 1. Okay, so the value of I is 1 right now due to this statement, and just because of next I, it will increase itself by 1. So the value of I will be 2. So here the value of I will be 2. Am I right? No, it is wrong. So it is here step 2. By default it will be by 1, but here we have written step keyword. What was step keyword? Step keyword is it will increase, it will jump its value over the step. It means it was 1 there, now it will be 3. Yes, now you're correct. Now i's value is 3. Again, what is the ending limit? B, right? So the value of b is 5. So still we have more execution. So here again print a, we are not increasing the value of a, so it will print a one more time. Okay, so it will print in the next line 10. I equal to I plus 1, again it will increase its value. So if I write 4, then it's okay, fine. Now next I, so again it will go back to 4. Now this time again step 2. So step 2, it means the value of 4 will become 6. So right now the current value of I is 6. Okay, so it will print a. Yes, it will print. Is it? No, because the value ending point of for loop is B. So the value of B right now is 5 and the current value of I become 6. So the loop will be ending here only. Okay, so loop is over. Now loop will terminate and it will come out from the loop. Okay, so right now my value of A will print twice, 10 and 10. Now if I would have given here a semicolon, so the output would be same but in the same line. Now it will print this way. Okay, 10 10. So it's look like 1 0 1 0. Okay, that is the difference between putting a semicolon and not putting a semicolon. So the code was like this. That is why the output will be this way. Okay, now this was a normal code with for loop. Now if I use a select statement here, now I can use a select statement. So if I change the code a bit, suppose I'm just putting it a bit down so that I can write the code. So let us use select case. So if I write select case, if I include select case in this existing code, select case, if I write B, okay, so not B, if I write I. Okay, now first let me tell you what is the use of select case. Whatever value I would give here, like here I have written select case I can give any variable over there, any variable name. Okay, so whichever variable I'm going to write with select case, that particular variable's value will associate with select case and it will start searching the related case here. Like here if I write case 2 and I print hello, okay, then after that if I write case 5, if I write print yes, and if I write case 6, then inside case 6 I can write anything. So I can include a for loop as well. So like J is already used, I is already used, so I'm writing J equal to 1 to 2 and print by. Okay, and by in the same line, so semicolon, and then next J. That's done. Now end select. End is a statement which is actually used for ending anything. So select we have started here, select is a statement, select we have started here and we are ending select here, that's why end select required. Okay, that we have already learned in my previous video. So here I need to write end to end the question. So what basically is happening here, we have written select case I. You need to understand it very carefully. We have associated a variable I. Now we have to see the current value of I. It was 6 when I was we have completed the loop. It was 6. Now if you can see this properly, wait, let me, yeah, if you can see the last value of I here, I have written 6. Yeah, so the last execution I became 6. So if I associate select case I, it means I has gone to select case. Select case will search to the related case here. That is, it is written here case 2, case 5, case 6. So I understand that case 6 will be matching with select case because I has been associated with select case. So the current value of I is 6. That's why select case 6 is the correct answer. So whatever statements are written inside case 6 will execute. Okay. Now what is written inside case 6? It's written for I equal to 1 to 2, means the loop will execute from 1 to 2. Okay, it will start from 1 to 2. Obviously the loop will run twice as you understood, and it will print by. So of course you are going to include 2 more outputs by in the same line because I have given a semicolon here. Yeah. Now so many people will ask me, sir, why you have not used case else? Obviously I can use here. So if I use case else, then I can use, but it is not mandatory to give case else in every select case. You can avoid it. Okay, so it is totally up to you according to your convenience. So case else, if I write Of course I need to write anything, so just I can write anything what I want. I'm just writing invalid. Okay, now it is totally optional, and if suppose case else is not there in any case, then it will not give you any error. But yes, if suppose your case is not there, the related case is not present in select case, obviously it will not give you any output as well. That's why select case is required in every select statement, but it is not mandatory. Always remember that. Yeah, that has to be clear in your head. So here this output is the actual executed output that this code is going to generate. Okay, I hope you have understood. Okay, now next, if I use a nested loop, like suppose if I write, okay, I need to run up the whole thing, then otherwise it will be confused. For I equal to 1 to 5. Okay, now for j equal to 1 to 3, then c equal to c plus 1. As you all know that it is known as a counter. Whatever value is written here, c equal to c plus 1, this is a counter. If we count anything, if we increase any value in a in a loop, that's known as a counter. Okay, so next first j, okay, then next I. Now if I ask how many times the value of c will increase, so many people what they will do, they will write I and j's value, and accordingly they will increase the value of loop. But the simple thing is, always remember, it is a nested loop. J is the inner loop and I is the outer loop. Yeah, J loop means inner loop, and the outer loop always runs multiple times. It means the length of outer loop, which is I, is 5 times, and the length of J loop is 3 times. So if I multiply both the values, then that many times C will increase its value. It means total 15 times. Okay, so if I print C outside, then it would print 15. That means nested loop, the inner loop, always runs multiple time of outer loop. That's a simple answer that you can get. Okay, inner loop always runs multiple times of the outer loop. Okay, so what if we put select case inside a loop? Now let us see one more example. Okay, now here we have written a for loop, normal for loop, which is running from 1 to 5. So if I decrease the loop length, so it is 1 to 3 right now. So if I write a select case inside the for loop, so select case I. Okay, now what I just said, the value which is associated with select case, which will actually look for the related case. Okay, so if I write case 2, okay, now print again the same things we are going to print high, then case 3. Okay, so print hello, and then case else. Case else, just now we have learned that whenever the related cases are not there, it will execute. So print by. Okay, okay, then we write next keyword, which I, next I, to close the loop, and then before next I we need to end the select case, so we write end select. Okay, now next I, and then end. Okay, so what is happening here, the value of I which we have initialized, we have started the loop from 1. So select case I, the current value of I is 1, so it will look for case 1. So case 2 we have written, case 3 we have written, so it is not present. Case 1 is not there in this select case statement, so it will directly go to case else and it will execute by. So the first thing that is going to print is by. Okay, the next I select end, the end select means end select. This is done, the select case is over. Now next I, it will go back to for loop and the value of I will increase by 1, so it will be 2. Again select case I, so it will initialize the value of I, and then case 2, yes, it will match. Now it will print high. Yes, it will give multiple outputs. So here again select case, one case is over. See, it will execute one case and then it will be over. Then again end select, again it will be executing I, and I will increase value. So I will be 2. I will be 2, 2 is done. Then I will be 3 now. So it will print hello. Yes, it will print hello. This is done. Yes, it is done. Now end select, this is done. Now next I will be 4. Now the whole loop is done, the whole loop will be over. Now this output will come by hi hello. This is how we put select case inside the loop. Okay, so what if we do some kind of mathematical calculation inside the for loop? Okay, apart from select case, just we remove the select case. Now what if we do some mathematical calculation? So for that we need some numbers. So suppose we are feeding some numbers, a equal to 1546, the random number I am taken. Okay, now if I write suppose p equal to a mod 2, okay, then d equal to a mod 10, okay, then second thing k equal to a slash 2, the same thing, and then a equal to a by 10. Okay, then we print, or else we just make it simple. Okay, print p, okay, then we print in a separate line. Okay, that would be better. Print p, d, k and a. Okay, then we close it. Next I. Okay, now we are printing so many things, so let us make a column. Okay, so there are many variables. So here we have written a, then d, then k, then p, that's it, p, d, k. Yes, we have written everything. So the value of a would be 12654. Okay, now what we are doing first, i's value is 3, so we let us write I as well. So the value of I is 1 here. Okay, so p equal to a mod 2, so a is 12654. we have to divide 12654 by 2. Obviously if we see here, it is an even number, so of course if I mod with if I mod this number by 2, obviously the value of p will be 0. It's a common sense thing. See, directly without any calculation I can write p equal to 0. It's a common sense. Now d equal to a mod 10. Now if I divide this number by 10 and get the remainder, you'll find that the last digit will come out. Okay, now it's actually fact, if you divide any number by 10, okay, and get the remainder, the last digit will be there as a remainder. Okay, if you divide, then you can see. So I can directly write d is equal to 4. Okay, now k equal to a by 2. Okay, so now if I divide 12654, now it's a big number, so it's 12654 divided by 2, so answer will be 6327. So the value will be let me click here. Yes, so the value will be 6327. Okay, this will be the answer. Now a equal to a by 10. Now what here the twist part is a equal to a by 10. What is happening here? Whatever value will come after dividing a by 10 will be saved in a only. So if I divide any number by 10, another mathematical fact, if you divide any number by 10, the last digit, as a question, the last digit will go off. It means like this. Okay, so here I am writing, here will not make any changes. So here the next value of A will be 1265. This will be the answer. So the value of I was 1. Now the value of I will be 2 if it will go execute next time, because after this print statements it will print next execute next time. But before next time I'm going to print all the variables here. So the variable first, it's printing P, so it will print 0. If I print comma, then no, leave it, just print it like that way only, so it will be more easier to understand. So after print P, it will print D. The value of D is 4, that we all can see. Then it is K is 6327. Okay, then it is A, so the value of A current value is 1264. Okay, next I, the value of I is become 2. Okay, now again the same statement is repeating. The value of P, A mod 2, again here we can see the value of A is 1265. Obviously it's an odd number, so the remainder, okay, this 1265 by 2, just because of this statement it is written here P equal to A mod 2. So if we divide 1265, so this will give me answer 1. Okay, so I can easily write the value of P is 1. Okay, now D equal to A mod 10. Again I already said, if you divide any number by 10, as a remainder the last digit will come. So the value of B will be, of course it is 5. Then K equal to A by 2. So the value of A is 1265. So we have to divide by 2. So 1265 divided by 2 is 632. Okay, so the value will come 632. So K's value will print 632. Okay, now the value of A will be A equal to A by 10. So again, just now I said, if I divide any number by 10 as a question, the last digit will go off. It means 126 will be the value of A. Again it will print like this way only. So the value of P, first it will print 1. The value of D will be printing 5. The value of K will print, what is the value of K? 632. So 632, and the value of A is 126. Okay, now these are the current outputs so far. Now next I, again it will increase one more time because the end value is 3. So it will increase one more time. So if I write the value of I is 3, then again the same thing is happening. So the first thing that we are going to do is A mod 2. So obviously it will be 0 because it's an even number. So again P will be 0 if I write 0 here. Then if I divide D equal to A mod 10. So what, now it is completely fine with you all. So if I divide 126 by 10, as a remainder I am going to get 6. Yes, you are right. So as a remainder we are going to get 6. Okay, now if I write K equal to A by 2, so it is K equal to A by 2. So it is 126 by 2 is 63. 63 here, the value of K is 63, and then A equal to A by 10. So again it will lose its value. So we will write 12 here because C6 will go off. So now I hope you all have understood the calculation, kind of calculation that we are going to do. If we divide, if we take out the mod inside the loop. So loop will do its work, and accordingly we have to do the mathematical calculations inside. Okay. So now we are going to start series and sum of series. Okay. We are going to revise series and sum of series questions. Okay. Let us write a normal series. Okay, if I give this value 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, and then n term. As you can notice, I have given a comma in between the numbers here. So you need to be careful with these symbols. Okay. Now if you see these commas are there in between the numbers, it means you have to print the series. Always remember that. You have to print the series. Okay. So this is known as Fibonacci series. Okay. Now what is the logic behind Fibonacci series? Is the first two terms are fixed. It means 0 and 1, the two terms are fixed. Whenever we are adding these two terms, the third term will be coming. Like if I add 0 plus 1, it will create 1. Again, whenever it is creating the third term, the second term will become first term and the third term will become second term. What does it mean? It means these two terms will be adding and it will create 2. Now 1 plus 2 will be 3. Then 2 plus 3 will be 5. This way it will move on. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to initialize two variables, which is a equal to 0 and b equal to 1. You always remember, if you initialize two or more than two variables in a same line, you give this colon, not comma. Okay. Now we can start the loop for 1. Okay, we have not accepted the value of n. So what we have to use input statement. So input, enter a limit. So we write 5 n. Okay, any limit user can input. So for I equal to 1 to n, of course. Now we have started the loop. So we have to add the first two terms which we have initialized with a and b. So I can simply write c equal to a plus b. Simple. And then obviously we are going to print a. Now the question is, sir, we have added and saved the term in c, but why we are printing a? Of course the value of c will be 1 because we are adding these two terms a and b. It will create 1, but we have to print as a first term is 0. That's why we are printing a. Now after printing a, we need to interchange. Okay, we need to interchange the terms. So how can we do that? Interchanging the terms will be a equal to b. Okay, the second term will be first term and the third term will become second term. It means it will be b equal to c. That's it. And then we are going to reverse the loop. So next I, again it will move on to the for and it will do the same thing. Okay, it will keep on printing the series. Now if I make some changes in the question, I already told this comma is going to print the series. What if I remove this comma and put a plus sign? Like see here I am putting a plus sign in the place of the commas. Okay, then if I write a plus sign, it is sum of series. It means I need to create the series, I need to generate the series, then I need to add the terms. It means instead of printing the series inside the loop, I'm going to just add the terms. So it's just a simple thing. As a series, as a term, which term I'm going to print, which variable I'm going to print? I'm going to print a. So instead of printing the variable, I'm going to add it. So I need to write a single line there. S equal to S plus A. That's it. And at the end, means after the loop, of course, I'm going to print the series once. I'm going to print the sum of the series once only. So that's why after the loop, we have to print S. Okay. This is the difference between sum of series and print the series. Okay. So basically, whichever term you're going to print, whichever variable you're going to print as the term in print the series, in some of the series, you have to add the term or add the variable with S. This line is important for sum of the series. So those who are a bit confused about sum of series and print the series, they can understand with this. So basically, sum of the series and print the series both are same. Only the difference is in sum of series, we add the term and print after next type. And in print the series, we just print the term inside the loop only. That's the only difference. Okay, I hope I am clear with these kind of calculations and series questions. Okay, we have also included few output questions in this session. I hope you have understood that the doubts are clear. Now if you still have any doubt, you can write in comment box. If you like the video, please hit the like button, and if you are new to my channel, please subscribe it. Thanks for watching.